Let's have a conversation with your future self, the future you out there in the world. What would that conversation be? I've stumbled across some videos recently, and there's a guy who is very well known in the YouTube world. And when he was young, like in middle school, high school, he would make videos of his future self 5 years, 10 years down the line. And then he would auto set it up so those videos would go out later of what he predicted for what life he was going to have. Well, he was very young. So, it's like, how big can you dream? And he super exceeded his expectations. But how fun it was for him as a young person to stop and think, okay, where will I be in 5 years? And he did a video like he talked to his future self. And then lately, I watched another video, more recently, I should say, that was a gentleman. Every time he makes a business decision, a life choice, a relationship choice, he stops and says, will my future self in 2 years be proud of this decision? And I thought, wow, we have to stop and think about this because our lives can just keep on going. We all get the same 24 hours a day. We all get the same 365 days a year. But how do we use that? How do we take advantage of it? I know that when life gets overwhelming, I can definitely get pretty comfy on the couch and I can just need time to unplug. And we all have to refuel. But how long do we take in that refuel? How much permission do we get? How much time do we take out from continuing to make the most of what we have? So my question really is to stop and think where you are right now, even though this could be a really tough chapter in your life. You could be very frustrated. You could be very lonely. Your career might not going well. Your health is upsetting you. Whatever the dynamic is, you have a chance to decide, okay, this time sucks. This is a really, really tough time. But what am I going to say to myself in 2 years when I look back at this time? So where do you think you are going to be? If you keep on the path and you're working hard and you're diligent, in 2 years, you will be reaping the rewards, whatever you are looking to succeed at. But if you keep stopping, you don't go out, you really deny yourself the opportunity to meet the people you want, to make the business connections, live the life that you desire. When I go back 2 years, I think of what was happening in my life and where I was at, the choices I was making and the places that I was living. And they were pivotal. They were actually very interesting dynamics that I look at a couple years ago. And 5 years ago, I was in a whole different place. So when we go backwards, we can see how much we've grown, little or a lot. But what we also can do is stop and say, okay, that was then, this is my today. What am I going to do to make my future self proud? What is it? Like, what do you want? If you've heard many times on my videos, I talk a lot about the power of 90 days. I love that. Like, I just exceeded, I'm now at 103 consecutive days of walking a significant amount and haven't missed a day. I am very big on that. But when I was kind of in a funk pre to those 100 days, I had a lot of excuses. I was like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll just take a shorter walk today. And now I made a decision that I've stuck with, and I love it because once I make the commitment, like, there's no excuse. There's no reason I can't go and walk for 2 hours every day. There just isn't. Occasionally I might do a little under the 2 hour and other times I'll do a little over, but it's better than doing just 15 minutes. So I've made this commitment that in all that I do, I need to see it through. No matter how busy my day gets, I will still make the time to go take the walk, which, as you know, I listen to my audibles. It clears my mind. I use the time well, but I've made that commitment. So now that I look on my app on my phone showing me that I've hit 103 consecutive days, it feels good. It feels really good that I didn't take a week off. I didn't take time out from this. I've continued to commit to the goal. And then I noticed lately that my phone app will tell me that I have significantly increased my number of steps. So when I started the goal, I had a lower daily step limit, and then I still have that as my lower, so I at least have my minimum I must do every day. But I usually double and triple that amount because I'm like, hey, I have the power to at least control my walking. I might not have the power to control every other aspect of my day, but I do have the ability to just get out and take a walk and use that time wisely. So I can look at my future self and think, now I'm going to keep on going. Like, this isn't something I'm going to stop. I did a 90-day challenge a long time ago where I walked a significant amount for 90 consecutive days. When the time hit and I was done with that 90 days, I kind of went off and on for the level of walking that I did. And so it feels good to be back into that space, back into that commitment, to have that no excuse attitude. So I am curious where you are at on this. What would you tell your future self? If a year from now you had committed all this next year, all focused on dating the right people, being committed to relationship of quality connections, being willing to say yes when people ask you out, even when you really just are nervous to get out there again. What if you just did that for this year? Where do you think you'd be a year from now? Do you think you'd be in a relationship? Do you think you could see it through until you found the right person? I've had so many clients hire me for a full year of intensive work because they know the power of a life cycle of the year. You get your 4 seasons, you get all your holidays, you have all these things that happen, but the one thing matters is you kept yourself as a priority. So I want to hear from you. What do you think and feel you could be celebrating in X amount of time? Do you want to celebrate something in a year? Maybe 9 months, maybe it's 5 years from now. So when you comment below, let me know what you're working on and what your time frame is that you want to celebrate that. I want to know what you want to say to your future self, because it sure feels good every time I get back on track or I make another goal or dream come true, because I like celebrating and making my future self proud. And I like to know that I saw it through, that I value my life and my dreams enough to think about my future going forward, to where I'm not wasting time. I'm not letting this slip away. And I'm not having that, oh, I suddenly woke up. You know, as a single mom for many, many years, I was there for everything. So I don't ever have that parent comment that a lot of people do when they say things like, oh, it just went by so fast. I'm like, no, it didn't. I was there for all of it. I really embrace every stage and chapter. So I can be proud of that. I know I showed up for everything, and I don't feel it went fast. I felt it went perfect because I was engaged. It's the disengagement from our lives that we wake up and realize, oh my God, it's almost the end of the year. What happened to the year? Well, it's because you were disengaged. So what is it that you need to do to move yourself in the right direction? Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and we will keep this conversation going.